This is Qifrey and Olruggio from Witch Hat Atelier, and I think they have one of the most tragic, heartbreaking, phenomenal love stories that I have ever experienced. I could mention the obvious for these characters, how they talk towards each other, how they act towards each other, how they look at each other, the physicality between them, the type of words, the sensitivity, the understanding between them. But all of that is already beautifully showcased by Shirahama. Instead, I would like to take you through perhaps a bit of the unknown, the emotional rollercoaster that these characters take you on throughout the journey of Witch Hat Atelier. However, to understand them, you have to understand this tree. Consider it the center of Witch Hat Atelier, a magical tree that eventually ends up becoming the ink for drawing magical sigils. This tree is incredibly important to Witch Hat's universe, but it's also incredibly important to Qifrey and Olruggio. It becomes kind of the staple or the bridge that connects them together, both in a really good way, bringing these two lovebirds together, but also in a very tragic, heartbreaking, soul-crushing way, where a bridge is connected, broken apart, rebuilt, and repeated over and over and over again. This tree is unusual. It does not reproduce or flower like a normal tree. No, instead it actually festers inside of living hosts. Because of that, you might think this tree is automatically bad, but it is natural. It is part of the world and part of the ecosystem that it will normally bury into animals and get spread around that way before finding comfort or peace, and that tree will actually sprout. Qifrey is directly connected with this tree in a lot of ways. It basically puts him on a timer that holds his connections and his emotions hostage. That if he ever finds someone, or if he ever gets close to someone, or if he ever feels comfort or at peace or in love, or all of those things combined, this tree will sprout inside of him and will take his life. There is ways to navigate this, but it goes against human nature. The first is to fill yourself with negative emotions, bad experiences, to never allow yourself to feel at peace or at home or comfort or love or whatever it may be, because you're so concerned of that tree taking sprout. So you have to live your life in fear, constant, recognizable, day-to-day anguish. The other is memory erasure, either on yourself or from others, to allow your mind to be kind of free of anything that would be considered a close connection. Think about it like this. You make all of these connections, you grow with these people, you fall in love with these people, you build a family with these people, and at your most vulnerable comfort, this tree will spawn. So you have to erase your mind or others' minds so they either forget about you, forget about the tree, or you forget about them, so that tree can reset and re-loop over again. This is where Qifrey and Olruggio's story actually begins, as children. And there's this very beautiful, heartbreaking kind of understanding that both of these characters have towards each other that just tears you apart. Because on one side you have Qifrey, who is only a child, experiencing such torment, disgust, not knowing where he comes from, understanding that his mind has been erased before, parts of his body has been taken from him. The amount of abuse and torture and abandonment and everything in between that has happened to him, that has been erased, that he has eventually remembered, but then also been erased again. The fragile trauma that has come from that shatters your mind. And as a child, you can imagine how complicated trying to navigate any of that would be. Qifrey is by no means a normal child, both physically and mentally. That innocence has been taken from him, that innocence towards magic, that innocence towards life, that innocence towards growing up at his own pace. He has been forcefully thrusted into a world that is so disgusting, and everything has been taken away from him. Key word there is taken away. All Qifrey knows is how to give parts of himself away. And it's always at the cost of himself. His autonomy, his mind, his memories, his body. And the sad thing is that he is willing to do that. Not because he's benevolent or trying to be kind, but it is because that is all he has ever known. So when you meet a boy, Olruggio, that is his equal, that understands him, that goes the lengths to continue to understand him, to not pressure him into doing things, to basically provide wonder, that comfort, that kindness, to cherish the relationship between one another as a child, is something so incredibly valuable that Qifrey would have latched onto. Even if he tries so desperately to avoid it, which he does, to ignore it, which he also does, eventually, similar to the tree, it takes root. And that comfort, that love, that appreciation, that understanding blooms. And it blooms into this beautiful, beautiful relationship between these two. And one of the most heartbreaking things about this is how quickly it progresses. For me, it's always been a direct showcase of Qifrey's mind struggling, battling back and forth, of not allowing anybody in, and when he finally does, when it finally creeps over, it fuels him, it rapidly consumes him, that he has no control over, that almost instantly, as it happens, that tree is spawned. And that tree is all-consuming, it takes everything. There is a moment in this story, specifically two, that these characters go through that I consider some of the best reading I've had in a very long time. It is incredibly emotional. I think if you go through this without even being close to shedding a tear, leave the story. Don't even continue reading. You are heartless. The first tragedy that falls on Qifrey is how quick he is to let it all go. He knows how consuming it is. He knows how tiring it is. He knows that he's just going to lose someone that's close to him again. But this time he can't really handle it. This time he's had enough. He's willing to let the tree fully consume him. God forbid how many other iterations he's gone through prior. This time he's had enough. And it would very much result in his death. I find it so deeply sad that he so effortlessly accepts his own death as a child. Like, he does not want Olruggio to be a part of this. He doesn't want Olruggio to experience any of this, just to let him go. Qifrey is willing to give up on himself. Could you imagine the lengths that you would have to go through, the experiences that you would have to go through to be in that type of mindset where you just don't want to fight anymore? When you're meant to be this bright-eyed child experiencing this world with all of this love and beauty and magic, and yet here you are suffering. But Olruggio does something even more ridiculous. The second tragedy of this story and of their love. Olruggio sacrifices himself. He will take Qifrey's place and he will take the hit of the tree. Now, what does this mean? This means that the memory erasure doesn't happen to Qifrey, but it will happen to Olruggio, and Olruggio will forget that this tree even exists, but their relationship will partially continue. This will quell the tree for quite some time, until eventually Qifrey gets comfortable again. Time and time again, Olruggio would take the hit. So as a child, Olruggio has already decided, he's already made this decision in his mind that he will give part of his own mind, his autonomy, his soul basically, to Qifrey. He is quite literally giving him that every single time for the rest of his life. Because this isn't a once ordeal, and this isn't something that Olruggio would promise that would only happen once. It will continue to happen. Olruggio knows it will continue to happen, so Olruggio promises that he will continue to take the hit. So Olruggio knows that even if he forgets, he will come to the same conclusion, the same type of response with the exact same love that he has for Qifrey. He will forget that he takes the hit, he will be friends with Qifrey and stay by his side, and then when it happens again or finds out Qifrey's secret, his mind will be erased and he will be okay with it. He will continue to take that hit, knowing that Qifrey and him can live together, can have a life together, can be alongside each other and with each other for as long as they want. If that doesn't sound like a vow of commitment, maybe you need something a little bit more physical. Because a very crucial, important, valuable part of Witch Hat Atelier's story is, funny enough, the hats. I cannot iterate how important, not only design-wise these hats are, but thematically these hats are. They're very, very special, and they're very personal to the people that are wearing them. So of course, to don this commitment, the first time that Olruggio will have his mind erased to save Qifrey, they trade the tassels on the top of their hat. A physical indicator that they will always be with each other. And I don't think there is any hat that I have ever seen within the story that has been customized. It is only these two. Olruggio has quite literally committed his mind, his body, his magical lifestyle, his hat has all been committed to Qifrey. This truly is the most sensitive, soul-searching, soulmate, twin flame love story I have ever seen. This is a type of love that is filled with so much heartache, so much trauma, so much just ridiculousness. Of all the issues and messiness that Qifrey may provide, these two together are genuinely the best thing. And while this relationship has been 10 years in the making, I can only hope that by the end of it, they are able to see a new day free of this tree. So for once, Qifrey can actually feel the comfort, reciprocate the comfort, the love, the appreciation towards someone that has dedicated their life to. Simply put, they're my favorite husbands that are raising 4 daughters. What else do you want to know? Read Witch Hat Atelier, leave a like and subscribe. Mwah.